And we are live. Welcome to the Dialogues About Death show with your host, Chris Miller. How are you,
Good
Chris?
morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And everyone, today is Chris's birthday.
Oh my gosh. I get to actually podcast on my birthday. How awesome is that?
So we are celebrating lots of things today besides Chris's 29th birthday,
Yep,
because that's the thing. That's the story. And we're sticking to it.
that's right.
We are talking about something that's very near and dear to Chris's heart, which the fact in honor of September of the month of Labor Day, we thought that we would talk about how the funeral service is really a labor of love. It's not something you think, oh, I'm going to make millions of dollars like in the stock market or real estate or something, right? It's not something that common everyday person thinks, I think I'm going to deal with death today, as a career.
Right.
It really is a calling. And so we're going to talk about kind of why Chris decided to join his family's business.
Yeah,
Even though he had other plans for his life, I think the
that's
Lord
right.
just kind of called you back to it. And then people in your industry, because you were the president of OGR, the Order
Yeah.
of the Golden Rule. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and what other people in your industry, why they were called to the funeral service.
Okay.
And so I think people are going to be really interested because you never know. Maybe there's somebody in the audience that is going to maybe feel that tug like,
That's right.
oh, I didn't realize this is something that I was born to do.
Yeah,
And it just might be the blessing that they're looking for.
that's right.
So looks like we have some people on, which is awesome. We have, Steve Reno says happy birthday.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Grace, happy birthday, Chris.
Thank you.
Yay. And Kathy, good morning. And Keisha's here. Good morning. I love
Wow,
it.
everybody's on. Thank you.
Yay. Yay. And Kathy and Keisha are on your team. So
Yes.
they are in the funeral service. So Kathy and Keisha, we would love to hear from you. What, just put in the comments why you decided to join the funeral service.
Yeah, we want to share those too.
I love it. And Chris also says, hello and good morning, my dear friends. I
Oh,
love it.
awesome.
You are being loved on today, sir. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yay. Okay. So let's get to the questions.
Sure.
Our first question is, and I'll go off screen so you can answer this, but why is the funeral service, and people call it death care, the funeral industry, um, and again, based on your experience, not only personally, but also being an OGR, what other funeral service professionals say, why is it more of a calling? And I'll let you answer that.
Perfect. Yeah, being in the funeral procession, it is definitely not for everyone. And it took me actually almost 25 to 27 years to figure out that that's really what I wanted to do. Even though I grew up in a funeral home, I was born and raised in a funeral home until I was 6 years old, and my parents would never let me have a job when I was a teenager. I always had to work at the funeral home. But it wasn't really my passion or my calling at the time that I recognized. So I went away to college. I got my degree in hotel restaurant management, and I love to serve. So I served people in the restaurant industry and hotel industry for many years. And then something came upon me where I just wasn't being satisfied or fulfilled anymore serving people in the hospitality industry. And I thought, gee, I was actually surrounded by my parents and the business for all my life growing up. And I watched and saw how they served the families that we deal with and also serving in our community. And I thought, boy, maybe I need to have a change of vocation. And one light, I had this like kind of this overcoming that I need to go back into funeral profession. And I have made it, it just has given me the warm fuzzies, you could say, just helping people during the hardest times in their life. And I've been able to do it for over 30 years now. And it's just been so rewarding. Uh, every case, every family we serve is so unique. And through my lifetime, I've dealt with a lot of different types of families and how they go through with it. And that's one thing that I just love to do is helping people in the transition. And that's where I think it's really a calling, because you got to really take that time to understand how people are coping with their loss and guiding them through it at that time.
I love it. And if you see the background, we've got all with the love today because we're talking about how you love being in the funeral industry.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So let me see if we've gotten some comments. Oh, we have. That's awesome. Oh, well, Sissy, also on your team, says
Nice.
good morning and happy birthday,
Good
which is
morning. Thank
awesome.
you.
Chris had also said that. That's just nice. And Kathy said, it makes my heart feel good helping people in such a terrible time in their lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I always say to people when I talk about you to friends or other people, like I'm in different mastermind groups, and I said what I really treasure about having working with you in this industry is that everyone on your team, everyone I've ever met who's in this role, you could tell, like, it's like a higher calling. They are so compassionate. They're really angels on earth, just like hospice workers, like people who come to take care of people in their last hours, and they're ministering to the families. And I think that's what you do. Like, people are suffering
Yeah.
with their family member leaving this earth, and they sometimes don't know what to do. And the fact that you guys are there. Oh, Keisha did say something here. She says, "I did not decide. Feel God called me to the profession,
Oh, yep.
service on another level, where I am able to assist people through the toughest time to get to a better place."
Yeah.
That is wraps it up perfectly, Keisha. Thank you so much. What a blessing to have her on your team.
Yes.
And Christine is also on your team. I love that.
Yay.
Good morning. Thank you, Christina, for joining us. I think it's true. It is something that's kind of a theme that
It
I
is.
think you hear that. Okay, let's move on to our next
All
question.
right.
All right, we have how does someone know? I mean, we kind of answered this a
Hmm.
little bit,
We
but
did
like,
a little bit.
yeah, so let's talk about maybe some of your peers in the industry when you guys have had, because you talk about issues in your industry and goods and bad, good things and bad things. Let's talk a little bit more about the peers and what you've heard of how someone knows this is their calling.
Sure. I've talked to a lot of funeral professionals, being in the Order of the Golden Rule (OGR) as president, and I've talked to a lot of people from around the country. And a lot of the funeral professionals that I work with are actually in the family business, and so they have kind of, it was ingrained in them that they needed to kind of follow in their parents' or family's footsteps. But there's been a couple that have figured it out that it was on their own. They just they had other friends or families that were in it, and they were just kind of curious, and they started doing some investigation about it, and they realized what a diverse type of person you need to be in this business, especially if you're in the funeral profession to do embalming and funeral directing. The schooling, and I attended Cypress College here in Southern California, but going to the university to get a mortuary science degree, that calling really brings out the differences on how you become a funeral professional. So, I mean, when it comes to embalming, you have to learn all the science. And so, if you're really interested in science and biology and anatomy, and that's something that's really intriguing to you in chemistry, the part of the funeral profession is for you. Yeah, and also as an embalmer, you learn how to do like the cosmetizing and restorative art. And so if you're kind of an artistic person and you like the cosmetology part of it, there's that aspect to it as an embalmer. But then on the flip side, being a funeral director, when you're dealing with families and meeting with families and helping them put together their celebrations, you are working with family. So you need to know a little bit about psychology, empathy. You have to have those types of traits so you can help guide and comfort people too. So you really have a lot of different hats when you're a funeral professional. So you can go for your funeral director's license or your embalmer's license. And those are a lot of different licenses to have, but it gives you the opportunity and the flexibility to do so many different things in the funeral profession, which I really liked when you're working for a small family business. Because when you're in a family business, you have that opportunity to work in all aspects of funeral service. So it's not the same thing every day. Every family that comes in is a different challenge. Every day has different obstacles when you're dealing with certain situations when it comes to somebody passing away. There's a lot of different ways that we have to prepare people to. So there's just so many avenues that every day is different and unique. exciting and also rewarding.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And it kind of brings me into what you were talking about, how you have to wear different hats. Actually, that was the third question that came in about this on this topic, was what kind of things does the service require?
Uh,
I was also thinking about how, like, one of the hats, and I'll let you answer this in a minute, but one of the hats that I've kind of noticed that your team takes on, and I know this sounds weird to say it this way, well, it's like event planning.
yeah.
The funeral is an event. And you host them at your chapel,
Yeah.
and you have facility to be able to host the luncheon or the open house or whatever.
Yeah.
But you also coordinate it at churches and other facilities that people want, and sometimes
We
in their
do.
homes. And so you're helping with, if they want people to order flowers and catering and photo books and program, all the things. It's really an event, like a wedding planner, a
Yes,
party planner. It's
it really is.
so if someone has that gift, right? Or I'll have gifts.
Absolutely.
That was is another thing that the service requires, is someone who knows how to be detail oriented and get that. So again, I'm going to
Absolutely.
let you answer this, but talk a little bit about like someone like
Sure.
Keisha and Erica and Devon, like they as a funeral arranger, like what are all the things are they required to do? Because again, also
Sure.
I want people to appreciate all the things that maybe go on in the back end of your
Sure.
service, because it's not just
Absolutely.
like click, 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 done. Like there's
Yeah,
so many moving parts that
that's
someone at
true.
your team does for people that I don't think they really know that
Yeah,
happens, because you guys make
sure.
it seem so easy and
We
seamless.
try.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, what kind of things does the service of being in the funeral industry require?
Sure. So, as Mary was mentioning, what we do is we assist families in putting together their celebration of life for families. It's when you've lost somebody and you're dealing with grief, sometimes you're not thinking clear. And that's why we're here. We're here to relieve that burden from the family so we can help coordinate the memorialization of their loved one. So we do remove the burden and just not doing the back behind the scenes stuff. But you know what? It really starts from the first call. People a lot of say is like, well, why do you charge this for funeral service? Gee, it seems to be pretty expensive. But we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 24/7, holidays, weekends. We always have staff available to help families. So we're always by the phone. We're waiting for the phone to ring. There's always a staff member available to answer questions about funeral service. And then once we do bring that family in and we start working with them and building a relationship with them and finding out a lot about their loved one, then we start building that celebration and that memorialization for them. And there's so many things that they do after they've met with the families. They need to call the churches, they need to call the pastors, they need to call in flowers, military honors, maybe escorts, limousines. They have to coordinate music. Then we also have to do the programs, the memorials. We're printing of all of those types of things, putting together video programs and video montages for them. There's a lot of hours that go on behind the scenes to coordinate a funeral service. And each staff member, they spend several hours with a family, and then after they're done with that family, they have to go on behind the scenes and they each do their work with their own families, and they coordinate all of that stuff to make sure it goes off seamlessly. So I really say it's being a funeral counselor or an arranger, and putting on this celebration, this this party, you can say, of remembrance, is almost like putting on a wedding. But when you're doing a wedding, you have 6 months to a year and a half to plan a wedding. And for a funeral, you have sometimes like 3 to 10 days to coordinate and pull this off. So it's a really high stress. You have to be severely organized. It could be highly stressed because you're having to work on tight timelines. So if that's something for you too, the people that I have working for me do that very well. They work under tight restraints, working on getting things coordinated so things go seamlessly. Because we're human. We have made mistakes in the past. No one's perfect, but we try to work on a 99.9% of getting things worked off every time. And our staff works so well with the families. Then we have our funeral service arrangers that are going out into the field to finalize everything. And then they have to go to the churches and set things up off site at a church or maybe at a family's home or maybe at an offsite location because they may not want it indoors. They may have thought that they wanted outdoors. And so we'll work with outdoor venues also to coordinate those types of things. But there are so many behind the scene things that go on just to coordinate. It's amazing. And my staff does a great job in doing those things and helping our families cope with the loss of their loved one.
I love that. It's really a good insight to what you guys do. In fact, Sissy on your team, she actually said, you know, you're the right person when you love coming to work, knowing that you're going to assist a family through the hardest time of their life. And the good feeling when the service was longer than it fits here. A good feeling when the service was beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
That's so true. And it's just
Yep.
like as an event, like you want the service to be beautiful. It's something that people will remember always. I remember my grandmother used to take pictures at funerals,
Mhm.
especially like when her husband died. She wanted pictures of the casket and the at the burial site. Like she wanted to remember, and she wanted to see the people that were there.
Yeah.
Like they were her friends, and she
Yep.
wanted to. And so when I remember when she got older, she'd ask to look at her photo books, and we would go through, and she'd be like, "Oh, it was so kind that this person came to the funeral. Wasn't
Yeah.
that nice that this person brought flowers or whatever it was?" Like she cherished those, and I think that is amazing. In fact, Kathy, speaking about event coordination, she was a special event coordinator for many years before she switched over to the funeral
There
profession.
we
It's
go.
the best decision in her life. It is so
It is.
fulfilling. Thank you, Kathy, for joining the Thomas Miller team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kathy is the, funeral director over at the La Sierra branch.
Yes.
Um, tell us a little bit about the La Sierra branch.
Sure. So, after I got into funeral service, I worked with my dad for 15 years. And then after he passed away in 2006, my calling was to serve people. And I couldn't figure out how I could serve more people because there was only so many people here in Corona. And so the opportunity came up when the Johnson family decided to retire, and they came to me and asked me if I wanted to acquire and buy them out and their funeral home in Riverside. And so I had that opportunity in 2007
Oh,
to acquire and buy out the Johnson family and keep it a family-owned funeral home. And
okay.
so I had Bill. Bill just retired. Bill was with us for about 18 years, and he retired. And Kathy came in this last year and worked underneath Bill as a transition. So now I have Kathy and Christina over there at the Riverside location off of La Sierra and Hole, and they're doing an amazing job over there. And they're just two kind and compassionate women that love to help people in the La Sierra part of Riverside.
I love that. Yeah, their heart
Yeah,
is so big, and, they, really take the time, and you remodel the, chapel and the
yeah,
entry. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful chandeliers, and
yeah.
it's such a pretty place. And then you also acquired, I think in 2020, or was it
Mhm.
before, the
Yeah.
Walker family. Tell us a little bit about the Walker family funeral homes.
Yeah, so in 2020, well, just before, it was probably in 2019, the Walker family was looking at retirement also, and they had come to me because they knew of our reputation here in Corona at Thomas Miller Mortuary, and they had asked me if they were going to be retiring, and they were interested in if I wanted to purchase their funeral home or their storefront funeral home. And so after a little deliberation, because I had just lost my wife a couple years prior, I thought, well, what the heck? I'm like, I can go ahead and dabble into one more adventure before I hang my hat up here in another 4 or 5 years or 10 years, whatever. I don't know how many more
20
years I got
years? Come
left.
on, man. You're 29
I'm
years old.
29. I probably got another 30 years left in me.
Yeah, suck it up, man.
But I did. So I acquired and purchased the Walker Family Funeral Service over on Main Street across from Corona Regional Medical Center. And then I brought on Sissy, who worked with me, gosh, about 15 to 18 years ago when before my dad had passed away. Sissy had worked for us. And so I brought her back on board to manage the Walker storefront.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's been
So
it's been very
that
nice.
storefront is when you why do you call it a storefront?
So a storefront is just where we can provide funeral services. We don't have like an embalming room, so we don't have it's not a full service funeral home. So
Okay.
what we've done is we've converted parts of the suite that we have over there into some office space, and we've utilized it the best we can. So we actually have a small chapel that holds about 35 to 40 people. So if families have a smaller group or smaller family, we
Okay.
can have them come and use us. If they have a larger family, then we usually show them one of our other chapels, either in Riverside at La Sierra or Thomas Miller in Corona. And so then they can go ahead and use another chapel depending on the size of their family and the type of service that they want for their loved one.
Oh, that's fantastic. And the
Yeah,
fact that it's right across the street from the hospital, um, I'm sure it's a comfort knowing that people can go and just discuss their options
sure.
and see what they need to do. Because again, you don't have to wait until you're at
No.
in the place of needing it. You can pre-plan and get things taken care of. We've talked about that on different
Yeah.
shows. But that's great. Thank you, Chris, for sharing all
Yeah.
this information. And I know that you were such an amazing leader with the OGR and helping small family businesses be a family business, because I know it's
Right.
tempting. A lot of big corporations are coming to buy out the smaller family as people retire, and
Yeah.
I think it's lovely that the traditional family funeral home has kind of been stayed as a cherished.
Yeah.
um,
And we're working on that right now with OGR. We're working with other creative partners to see how we can keep family businesses privately held under family ownership as long as we can. Even if the family's wanting to sell or retire, we're looking at options for families out there around the country in North America that we're working with other partners. So hopefully we can maintain keeping funeral service privately held. I think keeping it privately held and keeping it family owned is really important. It just makes it one step a little bit closer to helping families. Not to say that there's some great people working in the corporate funeral service
sure,
as
of
a
course.
profession,
Yeah,
but keeping it family owned, you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to helping and assisting families. You don't have to kind of go up the ladder to try to get permission for stuff. You can just kind of go right to the owner. So you have
right.
a little bit more flexibility as a family funeral home and as an independent funeral home operator. It just makes it easier for the families to work with you. And so you can fulfill as many needs for the family as possible.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's great, and I love that the family is your focus. It's not
it
like
is.
it's not the bottom line, it's the family comes
It's not.
first. I love
Yep.
that. Okay, Chris, well, I think those are our questions for today. Our
Nice.
next show is gonna be on October 18th, a little
Yeah.
closer to Halloween.
Yeah.
Um, and so we'll be announcing the topic of that show coming up soon. But thank you, Chris, and again,
Thank you.
happy
Thank you, Mary.
birthday!
Thank you, everybody that participated today. I love all your insights and all your wisdom and knowledge of helping the funeral profession move forward. And thanks for all the birthday wishes, too.
Yes. Oh, that's so sweet. All right, everybody. Until next time, if you have any questions, if this is something that you think would help someone, maybe someone interested in the career or something,
Yeah,
please share it with them or,
absolutely.
on your own page or whatever, because we just think that it's good to open up these conversations, have these dialogues about death because it happens to everyone
That's
and
right.
it's better to deal with it sooner than later. So, thank you so much for being a part of this. And Chris, again, happy birthday. And
Thank you.
we'll see you guys back on October 18th.
Wonderful.
All
Bye
right. You
bye.
guys have a fabulous day.